Week for clowns making absolute fools of themselves at sporting events in the stands.
Sometimes you need that reset. Oh.
And Bader just unloads on this one. Deep left field, and that one is gone as Bader.
We had the Polish millionaire CEO who stole the hat from that kid.
What does it take for an ordinary sports fan to become the most hated person on the internet in less than a day? Not a scandal involving athletes, not a cheating controversy, not a record-breaking loss. Just a single ball, a child, and one woman's decision that instantly flipped her life upside down. Think about it. Millions of people attend sporting events every year. Most cheer, eat, take selfies, maybe hope to catch a foul ball. Out of all those countless faces in the stands, why does one fan end up going viral, branded forever as a meme, a villain, or worse, the main character of the internet? The truth is, it doesn't take much. All it takes is one act that crosses an unspoken cultural line. And when that line involves kids, the internet is merciless. This isn't just a story about baseball. It's about how quickly innocence can be stolen, how fast anger can spread, and how one 15-second clip can change a stranger's reputation forever. The woman at the center of this moment didn't break any laws. She didn't storm the field or start a fight. What she did was arguably smaller, almost petty, but in the age of viral cameras, that's all it takes. One ball, one tantrum, one mistake, and suddenly your face is everywhere. And this time, the moment wasn't just embarrassing. It struck a nerve. Viewers across the world didn't just laugh, they were furious. Why? Because this wasn't about a grown-up chasing a souvenir. It was about a child losing a memory that was rightfully his. That contrast, a boy's crushed excitement against an adult's gleeful entitlement, is what turned a minor ballpark spat into one of the most explosive viral sports scandals of the year. But here's the kicker. What unfolded next wasn't just a meme cycle. It was a full-blown cultural event. Dozens of angles surfaced. Social media detectives dissected every frame. Memes and parody edits spread like wildfire. And the woman, now branded as the Phillies Karen, lost something she can never get back: her anonymity. So the real question isn't just what happened that night at Citizens Bank Park. The real question is, how does a single foul ball transform from a lucky catch into a cursed trophy that ruins someone's life online? And that's where this story begins. The scene couldn't have been more ordinary at first. A late-season game at Citizens Bank Park, the Phillies crowd buzzing, kids waving their gloves, parents half distracted with snacks and scoreboards. Then it happened. The crack of the bat, that unmistakable sound that makes the entire section freeze for a split second. The ball sailed into the air, twisting under the stadium lights, and for one row of fans, time seemed to slow down. It wasn't just any ball. It was the kind of ball every fan secretly dreams about. A home run gift from the sky, dropping not into some empty corner, but right where families were sitting. The scramble was quick, hands shot out, voices gasped, and in the middle of it all, one dad managed to scoop it clean. No struggle, no fight. He didn't even hesitate. He turned, grinning, and placed the ball into the small hands of his son. That's the magic of baseball. In that split-second handoff, a childhood memory is made. A father giving his kid the kind of story he'll tell for years. I was at the park and I caught a ball. For most families, that's the end of it. Smiles, maybe a picture, a souvenir to take home. But this time, the story didn't end there. Because just a few seats away, a woman decided that moment didn't belong to them. She lunged in, loud and insistent, pointing, shouting, demanding. In her version, the ball was hers. She wanted the glory, she wanted the proof, and she wasn't going to walk away empty-handed. At first, the crowd didn't quite process it. Was she joking? Was this some kind of playful argument? But then her voice rose above the cheers, sharp, piercing, angry. It wasn't a joke. She was dead serious. The father, caught between protecting his son and avoiding a scene, hesitated. And that hesitation was all it took. Within seconds, the ball that had been in his son's hands was yanked away. The boy's smile vanished, replaced with confusion and disappointment. And the woman? She held the ball up like a trophy, as if she had just won something worth celebrating. But what she didn't realize in that moment was simple. She hadn't caught a prize. She had caught the attention of thousands. The cameras were already rolling. The moment the ball changed hands, the air in that section of the stadium shifted. What should have been a quick cheer for a lucky catch suddenly turned sour. People who had been clapping for the kid fell silent, their heads snapping toward the argument unfolding in real time. Then came the first wave of boos, not at the field, but at the woman in the stands. Within seconds, the phones were out. Spectators knew instinctively this wasn't just an awkward squabble. It was a meltdown waiting to be captured. Every shriek, every jab of her finger, every wild gesture was filmed from half a dozen angles. To the crowd around her, it didn't feel like baseball anymore. It felt like theater, and she had cast herself as the villain. And if you've ever been to Philadelphia, you know this. Fans here don't pull punches. This is the same city that booed Santa Claus, threw snowballs at players, and wears its reputation for rowdiness like a badge of honor. But in this case, even Philly fans weren't amused. Instead of laughing it off, they looked disgusted. One man compared her shrieks to a horror movie jump scare, startling in their intensity. Another fan muttered that it was like watching a Meat Canyon cartoon. So exaggerated, it almost didn't seem real. The crowd wasn't confused about what had just happened. They were appalled. And while adults in the section jeered and shouted, there was one detail no one could ignore. The boy, standing there empty-handed, staring in disbelief, his excitement crushed. That single expression cut through the noise. It made the woman's triumphant strut look even more absurd, almost cruel. Instead of a playful fan moment, the crowd was witnessing something darker. And as the jeers grew louder, she doubled down, screeching back at anyone who dared to call her out, pointing fingers, refusing to give an inch. She didn't realize it yet, but the crowd had already made their decision. She wasn't a victim. She wasn't a rightful owner of the ball. She was the villain of the night. And the cameras capturing every second, they were about to make sure the rest of the world saw it the same way. For a few seconds, the noise of the stadium almost fades out. In a sea of chaos, boos, shouts, laughter, phones flashing, one image froze the moment in time. The boy's face. It wasn't anger. It wasn't outrage. It was the kind of confusion only a kid can show when something exciting is ripped away before he even understands what's happening. His shoulders slumped. His hands dropped. The spark that had lit up his eyes when his dad placed the ball there was gone, replaced with a quiet, stunned disappointment. That look hit harder than any scream in the stands. Because for adults, a foul ball is just a souvenir, something you brag about at work, maybe set on a shelf. But for a kid, it's magic. It's the proof that baseball isn't just a game happening on a field. It's something that reached out, touched them, and became part of their story. To see that joy crushed so fast, it felt wrong. The crowd noticed it. Some fans who had been laughing stopped. Parents watching from a few rows back shook their heads, imagining if it had been their child. The woman might have been loud, but the boy's silence spoke louder. And soon, that silence became the internet's rallying point. When the clip went viral, people didn't just focus on the shrieking woman. They zoomed in on the boy. Screenshots of his face spread across Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok, racking up millions of views. "Look at the kid," commenters wrote. "This is why people are mad." That single image transformed the story. It wasn't just a Karen moment anymore. It wasn't just a funny meltdown in Philly. It was an adult taking joy away from a child. And in sports culture, that's a red line you don't cross. From that moment forward, the internet didn't just laugh at the woman. It judged her. It condemned her. And it made sure she would never live it down. But the clip was only beginning its second life. Because as it spread, people wanted more than just outrage. They wanted proof. They wanted receipts. And that's when the alternate angles started to surface. It didn't take long for the stadium moment to escape the stands. Within hours, clips from shaky phone cameras were everywhere. TikTok feeds, Twitter threads, Reddit posts, even sports blogs. One short video turned into 10, then 20, each from a slightly different angle, each making the story clearer and uglier. At first, people thought maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe she really had a claim to the ball. Maybe it was one of those he said, she said moments that never get fully resolved. But the internet doesn't stop at maybe. It investigates. Fans slowed the footage frame by frame, like analysts breaking down a controversial play. They mapped the ball's arc, watched where it landed, and replayed the father's catch in slow motion. The conclusion was undeniable. The dad caught it cleanly, then handed it to his son. The woman didn't control it, didn't hold it, didn't lose it in a struggle. At best, she grazed it. At worst, she invented the story that it was ripped away from her. And that's when the outrage really ignited. Because now it wasn't just a bad look, it was a lie, a tantrum backed by a narrative that didn't survive the replay. In the age of viral receipts, nothing kills sympathy faster than evidence that contradicts your own defense. Comment sections exploded. Fans weren't debating who deserved the ball anymore. They were piling on. Memes painted her as the villain of the season. Side-by-side edits compared her shrieks to cartoon villains. One TikTok added a horror movie soundtrack, turning her into the jump scare of the week. Another overlaid her gestures with football commentary, mocking her like she was fumbling a recovery. And with every new edit, the audience grew. This wasn't just Philly fans anymore. This was the entire internet tuning in to watch the meltdown in real time. Even sports media joined in. Blogs ran headlines like, "Philly fan meltdown goes viral." Local radio hosts debated whether she should be banned from the stadium. And by the time ESPN and late-night shows referenced it, the woman wasn't just an anonymous spectator. She was a symbol, the Philly Karen, branded permanently by the internet's stamp of shame. The video didn't just spread, it evolved. What began as one clip turned into a multi-angle case study in entitlement, dissected from every direction, slowed, captioned, remixed, and shared until the truth and the humiliation were undeniable. And just as the internet crowned its villain, the Phillies themselves stepped in. Because for them, this wasn't just a viral scandal. It was a brand crisis. And their response made the story even bigger. While the internet dissected every frame, the Phillies wasted no time making their stance clear. Stadium staff pulled the boy aside, and instead of going home empty-handed, he walked away with something far better, a signed bat gifted directly by the team. In that one move, the organization turned the narrative upside down. The woman had a baseball, but the boy now had a priceless memory backed by the franchise itself. Fans saw it for what it was, karma in real time. The message was simple. The Phillies chose a side, and it wasn't hers. The timing couldn't have been worse for her. Just days earlier, another viral clip had already set the internet on fire, a Polish millionaire CEO snatching a tennis player's hat straight out of a child's hands at the US Open. That video had been crowned the worst fan moment of the year. And now, barely a week later, a second clip showed an adult stealing from a kid in the stands. The internet didn't need much imagination to connect the dots. Side-by-side edits popped up almost instantly. The CEO with the hat, the Phillies Karen with the baseball. Captions read, "Meet the villains of 2025 sports." Commentators piled on. One sports writer tweeted, First, the CEO takes a hat, now a fan takes a ball. What's next? Someone snatching cotton candy out of a toddler's hands? Memes turned the two clips into a running joke, with some fans demanding a hall of shame for adults who can't let kids have a moment. But the comparisons weren't just jokes. They made her behavior feel bigger, uglier, part of a growing pattern. It wasn't just about one foul ball in Philadelphia anymore. It was about entitlement in sports culture, adults hijacking traditions meant for kids. And when scandals overlap like that, the internet doesn't let go. It snowballs, building a narrative that one person alone could never escape. That's exactly what happened here. The Phillies Karen wasn't just a woman in the stands anymore. She was now the co-headliner in a week of viral disgrace. By the end of the week, she wasn't just a fan at a Phillies game. She was the Phillies Karen, a meme, a punchline, a cautionary tale replayed across TikTok, Reddit, ESPN, and even late-night TV. Clips of her screeching face looped endlessly, sometimes set to circus music, sometimes remixed into horror movie trailers. TikTok creators stitched her into parodies. Reddit threads broke down her every gesture. Twitter users gave her nicknames that will stick far longer than the ball she fought over. Even Philadelphia fans, famous for defending outrageous behavior in the stands, turned their backs on her. And then came the personal cost. Local outlets named her, photos spread, social media sleuths posted her section, her row, her seat. The anonymity she once had vanished overnight. She didn't lose a job like the millionaire CAO, but she lost something just as valuable: the ability to walk into a stadium without wondering if people recognize her as that woman. Worse, her attempts to fight back only fueled the fire. Eyewitness clips caught her yelling that the father had ripped it right out of her hands, repeating the line again and again, but the replays told a different story. Every new camera angle shredded her defense, and the more she insisted, the more people mocked her. Soon, even companies got in on the spectacle. A trading card retailer reportedly offered to buy the ball back if she returned it with a signed apology, written across the leather. Proof that her humiliation had more market value than her souvenir ever would. Comment sections laughed at the idea. "She's holding the most cursed baseball in history," one user wrote. By then, it didn't matter if she kept the ball, sold it, nor hid it away. The internet had already decided. To most fans, she would forever be remembered not as someone who caught a foul ball, but as the adult who stole joy from a kid and got caught doing it. And that's the cruel truth of viral culture. You don't get to control the narrative. Once the clip spread, the story wasn't hers anymore. It belonged to the internet. But this fallout also exposed something bigger, something that reached far beyond one ballgame. It raised a question about what sports culture has become and why entitlement like this keeps making headlines. What makes this story so unforgettable isn't just the screaming, the memes, or even the ball itself. It's what it revealed about where sports culture and internet culture stand today. A foul ball used to be a private joy. One family caught it, they celebrated, and that was that. Now, every single moment is captured from 5 different angles, posted online, dissected frame by frame. You don't just catch a ball, you audition for the internet. And if you stumble, even for 15 seconds, you risk becoming the next viral villain. The Phillies Karen didn't just lose a baseball, she lost her anonymity, her dignity, and her chance to fade quietly back into the crowd. And the reason people reacted so strongly is simple. She crossed a line everyone understands. Baseball is built on tradition, on innocence, on kids getting moments they'll remember forever. When an adult takes that away, it doesn't feel like a mistake, it feels like a betrayal. And the internet punishes betrayal with fire. Memes, parodies, late-night jokes. Her meltdown became part of a cycle we've seen again and again. One week it's a CEO stealing a hat, the next it's a fan stealing a ball. Every time, the outrage builds faster, the ridicule lasts longer, and the fallout cuts deeper. That's the real lesson. Sports stadiums are no longer just places where games are played. They're arenas where every fan is both a participant and a potential viral clip. Every action, good or bad, can be magnified to millions within hours. So, what does this say about us? Maybe that entitlement has no safe hiding place anymore. Maybe that communities, both in the stands and online, will rally around kids and call out adults who try to take their joy. Or maybe it's simply proof that in 2025, the crowd isn't just in the stadium, it's everywhere, watching, judging, and waiting for the next scandal to unfold. Because if one foul ball can turn an anonymous fan into a global punchline, imagine what the next viral meltdown will do. And make no mistake, it's already loading in your feed.